I'm a writer, a serious writer who's got her first book published and a few poems that made its way to the local paper. I make a living out of it. I also have a very secret blog that I use to publish fan fiction under a pseudonym. I know when we mention fan fiction, the first thing that comes to the mind is that I'm an obsessed fangirl who writes countless of OCs, and all of them are in love with an alter ego of myself and blah blah. No, I just really like exploring my favorite characters and the universe they live in. If I'm reading a book, playing a game, watching a movie, I sometimes think, what if? And I write it out. It's been my secret for a long while now. It used to be. My boyfriend found my blog when I forgot to clear out my history on my laptop. I don't hide stuff from him. It's just a habit I picked up since I was a child and hit that curious about porn phase. We had a family computer, and if I didn't clear the history, I'd get caught, so I always do this. He's been mocking me for it. I'm not fragile. I can take a mocking every now and then if I know it's not really malicious. My boyfriend, on the other hand, keeps laughing and making jokes about me being a Tumblr girl, about me wanting to be with those characters and so on. It's to the point he read a few and started nitpicking and making fun of some of it. I talked to him. He dismissed me. I finally snapped yesterday when he came over and I was writing, again for the local paper. He said, "Writing your weird smut fanfiction, fangirl?" He meant it as a joke. He laughed, but I was already so cranky that I told him to leave. He looked at me puzzled and said he was kidding, but I kicked him out. English is not my native language. I started learning English when I was 9 years old because there was no one to read fan fictions of a particular fandom I was into in my native language. Because of it, I discovered how much I love writing. Because of it, I learned English, and it saved my life when I needed a job but was inexperienced in a lot of things. But man, I could speak and write English fluently, and all thanks to writing fan fiction. It means a lot to me, and I'm not hurt that most people think it's silly and make fun of fan fiction writers. I'm hurt because the boy I love is being horrible about it, and I'm this close to breaking up. I don't deserve to be mocked for something I like, especially when I don't judge him with the stuff he likes. He wants to come over, but he doesn't think he's wrong, and he doesn't see how his behavior is hurting me. What do I do? I learned a long time ago not to be ashamed of doing something that brings me joy, especially when times are hard enough already. But it hurts so much that my BF thinks I'm a loser, and I don't know what to do. I'm starting to see him differently. Dear, boyfriend found out I write fan fiction and has been horrible about it. Edit. This blew up in a way I didn't expect. I want to answer everyone, and I'll try to, but to clear some things up. I don't think my boyfriend was snooping. I always clear my history out of habit, and this time I left it there. It most likely came up in the search bar since he told me he just found it there. The problem here is not my sense of humor. It's the fact that when I told him I wrote fics and came clean about it, I was laughing with him. Then the mockery started, and for the next few days, I was a crazed fangirl in his eyes, and he wouldn't let go. That is not having a sense of humor. That's someone I love being hurtful towards me on purpose, even though I told him to knock it off. We're currently not talking. He thinks I'm being oversensitive, and I'm here reading your replies. I haven't let him come to my house yet, and won't until I think of something to tell him. I already have something in my head thanks to you guys. This is the first time I see my boyfriend acting this way. I wouldn't be with him if he had been like this since the start. This is the first time, and it's probably why I'm so shocked here. I'm hurt. A joke or two, fine. Straight up mean mockery? Nope. I don't know if he got jealous. I don't know if the content of the stories bothered him. I don't know. I plan on finding out, though. Edit 2. I'm meeting with him later today. We're gonna talk. But again, to clear up any confusion, I did not kick him out completely out of nowhere. He was not confused why I snapped. When he started teasing, it was okay the first couple of times. Then he started mocking and reading the fics just to make fun of it. He'd read parts back to me while laughing and making fun of me in a way that wasn't a joke or him seeing me as one of the guys. Update Sept 17, 2017, 4 days later. I want to start this by clearing up some confusion. He and I have teased each other before. I tease my best friend, and she teases me back. Stupid, trash teasing. I still have some of my earliest fics in English, and my grammar was awful, really awful, with sentences like, "and he tried to think not about her." She throws that sentence back at me all the time, and it's always in good heart. It's always in a, "Oh God, look at the shit you used to write, and look at you now." This is not what happened with my so and I. He went out of his way to make me feel uncomfortable and hurt. This is why I came here for help, because someone I love was being cruel out of nowhere. And so, for the sake of this update, I need you guys to keep in mind that I'm in no way ashamed of writing fics, and that my so's behavior was more than strange and cruel. He had never acted that way before. So, I met him the day after so we could talk. He was pissed because I kicked him out. I was pissed because of his behavior. We went home and I just straight up asked why my fics bothered him so much. He kept saying it didn't, that he was just having fun and all, and I explained to him how he made me feel. He snorted. I told him that if he wasn't going to take this seriously, then he could leave again and not come back. After a while and a brief discussion about him being incredulous that I was so upset over nothing, he finally told me the real reason behind his actions, that he does not feel comfortable with me writing sex scenes. This came out of nowhere, and even when this issue was discussed here, I was like, nah, he would never have a problem with it. He's even praised the one in my book. Ha. Well, I asked him exactly that. Why did he praise the one in my book? Why did he encourage me to write more of it? He said he hadn't stopped to think about the consequences, that when I wrote it in my book, he didn't know or see how many people enjoyed it. When he read the ones in my blog, he could see how many people reblogged it. He could see the comments. He could see everything, and it bothered him because I was his girlfriend. Okay, I asked him what he meant by that, and he said that I was putting myself out there by writing this stuff. I held back the urge to snap and calmly asked him, again, what the hell he meant by that. He said he knew how guys think and that they were seeing how easy I was, and I'd soon be getting stalkers because, and I quote, "I like sex like a sot." Isn't that lovely? He quickly tried to fix it, to tell me that he didn't mean it like that. He meant that I write detailed and explicit scenes, and that might give people the wrong idea. I asked him if I give him the wrong idea when we have sex, and he just shut up. I think he realized then how much of an idiot he was because he started apologizing. I just ended it. I ended it and changed my blog's URL. He's been calling and calling and calling, texting me nonstop that he's sorry, but I can't look at him the same way. Even if I ever forgive him, just know. I like sex, so that makes me a someone, but that's not a problem when I'm having sex with him. I'm just heartbroken over this because, I don't know. This came out of nowhere. Before breaking up, he said everything would be okay if I just never wrote about sex. I mean, really? No, I like it. I like writing about sex. I like writing fics. I like it. It pays my bills. So screw that. But in his mind, if I just stopped writing kinky sex scenes, then he wouldn't feel insecure and wouldn't lash out like this. I'm glad it came out though, this side of him. Still, this is just so freaking sad. Hadel daughter, he didn't like me writing about sex, wanted me to stop. We broke up. This is a repost sub. I am not the oop. Do not contact the oops or comment on linked posts. Remember, Rule 7.
Today, we're diving into a story where a secret hobby, something that brought this person so much joy and even, built her entire career, ended up being the thing that just completely destroyed a relationship. It's a wild story about a shocking confession and a line that, once it's crossed, well, there's just no going back.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Like, how much of yourself do you share in a relationship? And what happens when something you love, something that's a huge part of who you are, is met with, well, not support, but straight-up contempt? This story goes right there, into that really uncomfortable territory.
So, this quote, it's from the woman at the heart of this whole thing. And honestly, it just perfectly sets the stage for the massive choice she's going to have to make. It's such a powerful statement about self-worth, right? This idea of just holding on to what makes you happy,
no matter who tries to tear it down.
All right, so let's get into the details. Who are we talking about here? And what was this secret passion that ended up causing so much trouble?
Okay, so the first thing you need to know is that this isn't just some casual hobbyist. She is a professional writer. Like, words aren't just for fun, they're her career, a huge part of who she is. And you've got to remember that, because it's a super important detail as this whole thing unfolds.
So what was this secret passion? Writing fan fiction. And she's really clear that for her, this isn't just about, being a fangirl. It's more like a creative laboratory. It's a space where she can seriously explore her favorite characters and worlds, asking that big what-if question and really pushing the boundaries. And what's just incredible is how deeply this hobby is tied to her entire life. Seriously, this wasn't just some pastime, it was the very thing that taught her English, which helped her get a job, which then launched her professional writing career. I mean, in a very real way, fan fiction literally built the life she has today.
But of course, this cherished, life-changing hobby is about to become a total battleground. Let's see how something so positive could start to completely unravel her relationship.
And like a lot of secrets, this one came out in the most boring way possible. She just accidentally left it up in her browser history. She makes it really clear he wasn't snooping or anything, it was just a total accident. But the fallout from this simple little discovery? Yeah, that was anything but boring.
And this right here is the heart of the problem. See, she was totally used to being teased about it. With her best friend, it was fun. It was like a celebration, They'd look back at her old stuff and just laugh together about how far she'd come. But with her boyfriend, the intent was completely different. It wasn't supportive at all. It was just designed to hurt.
So it started small, with these kind of dismissive labels, like calling her a Tumblr girl. But it got worse, and fast. He started actively seeking out her writing, not because he was interested, but just to find ammo for his jokes. He would literally read parts of it out loud to her, laughing. And even after she begged him to stop, he just kept going. So after days of this, just constant mockery, things finally hit a breaking point. And this was the last straw. Get this. She's in the middle of working on a professional piece, for a local paper, and he walks in and says that. The combination of weird, smut, and fangirl is just, it's just dripping with contempt for the very thing that is her career and her passion. And that's it. She just snaps. Her reaction is instant. Get out. But his response? It's that classic, "White, I was just kidding." He's totally baffled, acting like it was all just a big joke. He just fundamentally does not get how much he just hurt her.
Which brings us to the big question, right? Clearly, this wasn't just about the fanfiction. His reaction was way too intense, way too cruel. There had to be something else going on, something deeper. So, after some radio silence, she finally agrees to meet up with him to try and get to the bottom of all this. And what he ends up revealing is something she never, ever could have seen coming.
But he doesn't just come out with it. At first, he just doubles down, telling her she's totally overreacting to nothing. It's only when she puts the entire relationship on the line, basically telling him, this is it unless you're honest, that he finally cracks and tells her what's really going on.
And then, the first part of the real story comes out. It was never about fanfiction. It was about the sex scenes. And this is a total shock to her, especially because he'd actually praised the sex scenes in her published book before.
But wait, his logic gets even more twisted. He tries to explain that the scene in her published book, that was fine. What he couldn't handle was how public her blog was. Seeing all the comments, the reblogs, all that tangible proof that other people were reading and enjoying her work, that's what was making him so insecure.
And then he drops the final ugly truth, the real core of his insecurity. He believed that because she wrote about sex with so much confidence, so much detail, that other men would see her as easy. And then he actually said it out loud, that she must like sex like a slut. I mean, it's just a stunningly awful, misogynistic thing to say, reducing her talent and her passion to this crude judgment of her character.
Well, after a confession like that, there was really only one way this could go.
Her decision was immediate and final. There was no discussion, no chance for him to take it back. In that one moment, she just understood that his view of her was fundamentally broken. There was no fixing it. And even then, at the very end, he tries to control her. He gives her this final ultimatum, actually believing that if she just stops this one thing, stops expressing this huge part of herself, that the relationship could just go back to being okay.
He basically framed his own deep-seated insecurity as her problem to fix. But she said no. She chose her joy, she chose her career, and she chose her self-respect over a relationship that was demanding she make herself smaller. She knew she could never, ever sacrifice a part of who she was for someone who saw her greatest passion as some kind of character flaw.
And so, this whole story leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. Where is that line? At what point does a partner's comfort, or let's be real, their insecurity, become an unacceptable demand for you to be less of who you are? It's a really tough line to draw, and as this story shows us, the stakes, well, they couldn't be higher.